put more effort into growing a business, but I also have to like be able to be a mom and be a wife, right? And be able to like have that cutoff and have that time to myself.
How do you go from making about $1,000 a month to $24,000 a month, serving your ideal clients, giving them incredible transformation, and honestly living your dream business? How do you do that? Stressful, super burned out, posting on social media all the time, not making money, to actually helping people, not posting on social media, not having a niche. Over here, we had a niche, no niche over here, making way more money and getting people way better results. What happens to transform a business from this to this? So glad you asked, because today I am interviewing two of my clients. They're actually students in the Profitable Nutritionist program and one-on-one private clients of mine. And I'm asking them that exact same question because that is what has happened since we have been working together one-on-one. Okay. They've gone from a very, very stressful business model where they're super burned out, helping a very specific type of person in a very specific niche, to no niche, making way more money, helping way more people, and honestly enjoying their business so much more. So I am going to let them tell you in their words exactly what has happened and what has changed for them to make this huge transition, which actually they did in the course of 1 month. It wasn't a long time. They did it super fast, have been very, very successful, and they have a lot of takeaways and tips for you on what that actually looked like so you can do it for yourself. Without further ado, I'm going to quit yapping and let Kelly and Aaron take it away. Ladies, Aaron and Kelly, welcome to the Profitable Nutritionist Podcast. So glad you guys are here today. We're just jumping right in. Are you ready?
We're ready.
Okay. We were just debriefing before we hit record, and Kelly was like, I have no idea what you're going to ask us. And I was like, neither do I. This will be so fun. Way to just get thrown in the deep end. Okay. So I usually start these episodes, even though I do know kind of the direction that I will be questioning you about, probably the direction it'll go. I like to start with just, how did you get here? How did you get in business? And it's super unique for you guys because you're in business together. So why don't you give us like a little bit of backstory for both of you on how that happened and catch us up a little bit.
All right. So, well, before we cut each other off, right? Because so I'll start quickly. So, basically, in a nutshell, we had both had our individual practices. So I had been doing this about 5 years.
This being nutritional therapy?
Actually, so I started as a health coach. So back in 19, I started my own health journey, because I had been about 8 years into a pretty vicious downward spiral with my own health, a lot of gut health issues, lots and lots of I was like, just really stressed to the max, my hormones. I'd had my third child at that point, and everything kind of tanked right before I got pregnant. And then it really went downhill after he was born. So I had actually put myself through my own healing journey on a whim because I was just desperate to feel better. And then I noticed that it worked, which is pretty awesome. So I actually had dove into health coaching first. So I had my health coaching certification, which I started in 19. So it was actually right in the middle of COVID. So I started my health coaching, changing careers, homeschooling, had a toddler. Like, we were doing all of the things at the same time because that's what you do, right?
You sure do. Yeah, you sure do.
And then I deepened that with my nutritional therapy certification, and 2 years later. And so I'm about, 3 years into the nutritional therapy side. And then I was working one-to-one with clients myself.
Okay. And then enter Aaron.
Yeah. So my journey actually began when I was at the age of 10. I had lots of hormone issues. Actually, as soon as I started my period at the age of 10, I found myself in the nurse's office at school more than I was actually in a classroom. And I struggled with that for 20 plus years. And the thing that broke the camel's back was the fact that when they told me that there was a good chance I couldn't have kids. And I was like, okay, I'm not taking this no for an answer because I was so passionate about being a mom. And then I had kids. So I started to really dig into my own health when they kept telling me that, nutrition didn't really matter, lifestyle didn't really matter when it came to my hormones. And I just started to really dig deeper on my own and did my own research. And the more I dug, the more I was interested in this work and so passionate about helping other people. Fast forward, I became a mom. And when my son was 3, actually, he started having seizures. And we did the whole thing of like going to the doctor, going to the specialist, all the things. They, of course, wanted to put him on medication right away. We did a trial of the medication. It didn't really sit right with me because they also told us at that point at the age of 3 that, diet and lifestyle did not matter for him. When we had him on, when we had him on the medication, he was no longer, it was probably like not even 2 weeks in, and he became very violent. He actually almost got kicked out of daycare because he became a very different child. And at that point, as a mom, I was like, there's something more here. There's something more. Um, this is not, I probably shouldn't say this, but I actually weaned him off myself off of the medication. Because I had called the doctor and they were like, just keep going, just keep going. Like, this is part of the process of on this medication. I'm like, this is not my child. And my mom intuition, it was just like, what is going on? This is not him. This is not my child. Completely different. We weaned him off. And then I just began to dive in even more, like into neurology, into nutrition. And then I found the Nutritional Therapy Association and I really dove deep. And then the more information that I began to learn, the more moms started coming to me about like, oh, what have you done about this? Or what have you done about that? And we've never had him on medication since. And then fast forward to up until like a year ago, we actually found out he had Lyme. And that's been a really big piece, we feel like, since it all started. He's 11, and we're working on a protocol right now to get rid of and put his Lyme in dormancy. And his seizures are 80% better.
That's
So we
incredible.
feel like that's really been the trigger of even his epilepsy the entire time. It's been pretty
Wow.
exciting. Really long
Yeah.
journey, but it's been worth it in the end.
Yeah. Which, spoiler alert, Erin loves working with the complex cases. This sheds a lot of light into why that is. You're like, I got this. I'm going to dig right in. And I think that's your superpower. Okay. So both of you had your own practices. You're working with one-on-one clients. How did you come together as business partners? Because this is super unique. And I think that people will be very curious.
So we were both in the Nutritional Therapy Association cohort together. So that's how we met. We had this awesome little study group that we had really like, there was like 8 of us, I think, or something, that we had just kind of clicked. And, we started, just kind of sharing stories and like working through different things. So we had all stayed in contact. And, even after we had graduated the program and, some of us had started our businesses. So we were just like, it was just that support. And Erin and I had really, connected as we were 2 that were working pretty much full time at that point. We had both left our jobs, essentially, and decided like we were going all in and we were really going to do this. And it came up. So it was actually like late last spring.
Okay. So spring 2025.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Years are, they're gone for me. So, so yes. So yeah, it was last summer or like late last spring that we really just started talking about it. We had always just said, we wish we had a second brain some days, because with one-to-one clients, I had a pretty full load of clients myself, and so did Erin. And it was just like, there was so much. And it was like, you just wanted somebody to collaborate with, bounce ideas off of, and all this thing. And we were like, maybe like, what if we just put them together? And we were talking about the support. A lot of our clients, it was really difficult. It's a difficult journey. We had both been through our own healing journeys, and we kind of did it on our own. We went rogue in a lot of ways. We were just like throwing spaghetti at the wall, just trying to figure stuff out. So we were like, we need to give people the support like at that time. And we also needed it ourselves. So we felt that we could be better practitioners, but we felt like we just needed a second brain. And so we live in 2 different states. So that was a completely new navigation. And honestly, we just were like, you know what? We did it really, really fast. We decided we were just we created a whole new business, merged them together, launched it in like less than 2 months. We still had individual clients. We started working with clients together. We totally changed our dynamic. And in what I think was last June. I think we just literally hit the ground running. Some days we felt like we just hit the ground, but we were really running.
Easier to see in hindsight, isn't it? At the time, it's like, no, I'm just bouncing off the ground here. I don't know about the running. So fun. Okay. So enter this transition that you guys are in. You're merging your practices together. What did you do first, and what did you create first, and what was your business plan in this new business together? This is a very leading question in getting into where I think that we're going to go here. So why don't you guys set the stage on what you decided to create together and what you were selling together and why?
Well, we did things a bit, like Kelly said, all over the place because we really did hit the ground running. So we were for sure like, we're going to niche. Like we are 1,000%, we're going to niche. We're going to niche. And we're like, we had this mindset, like we're going to niche. We also wanted some type of like community or group setting. We both knew that we wanted that one-to-one like support for people that we never got in our own healing journeys, both as women, but as moms too, because we've both been through our own journeys as moms for our kids as well. So we really wanted something for people, some place for people to go and be heard and be seen and not feel so alone in their own journeys. So we created a community.
Yes, you did. And what did you do in the community? What did you sell? What did that look like?
So I mean, we like went full on.
It's beautiful.
We put like we did so much. We literally took everything that was in our brains, and we were like, people just want to know. And in a place where like anybody that was curious could come in and connect. So we literally built a platform, where there's monthly education. We gave our members access to us always. So we're in there. When we tell people this all the time. We don't have admin, right? So if you're going to ask a question, right, Aaron, it's going to be Aaron or myself that are going to answer you. So we created, just kind of a monthly package where they could come in, they could join, they could be curious, they could ask questions. They could interact with us. Where people are starting their journeys was like, what do you change? How do you do all of this? Like, I don't know what products are good. Like, what am I supposed to be eating? And nutrition was such a turning point for both of us, in our own healing journeys and our children. Erin went through a journey with her son. I have two sons that are neurodivergent, and, had been through their own different struggles. I have one that's on the verge of potentially being diagnosed with celiac as we speak. So knowing what we know and the amount of information and the amount of people that needed help, we were like, we're just going to give as much as we possibly can. And we just loved the atmosphere of like people coming together. So we just built this and we opened the doors to it. We were like, we put so much months building this community and putting it together. We also built a group program because we were like, we were kind of tired with brain, like mentally tired with the one-to-ones. So we did have a couple of one-to-one clients in the very beginning. And then we built a group program to really focus on those foundations that we just know are crucial for everybody. And this was all what we had done and launched this fall.
It was, before. Yeah. So that was between June when you guys merged your practices together, and like by September, you had created this super robust community and a group program and launched it. And then you were millionaires, right?
Yes. In our brains. Our brains.
Yes. It's amazing. Look at this. It's amazing. Everybody's coming. Everybody's paying us all the money. This is so good. This is worth all of the time we're putting in. Says no one ever that's launched a membership. So I laugh and I say this as somebody who's done the exact same thing. So I totally get it. But what actually was the result of that, of months and months of effort? Like what happened over those months? Monetarily, I should specify this, like monetarily what had happened. And were you actually less burned out and less like mentally fatigued after this? Let's go there. Kelly's laughing so hard right now.
Be honest.
Like, oh, that's funny.
Let's be honest. In theory, it sounded so good. Now, do we 1,000%? Like, I love that community with everything. I'm so glad that we built it. So much work. And furthermore, we built a program, like a small group program to give that support. More work than anything we could have ever imagined. Our families were like, are you ever gonna like come join us ever again? We put hours upon hours, like so many. We can't, there's no words.
There's
Monetarily.
no word.
I mean, if you could have ever lost a year's revenue in a short amount of time, like for the amount of time and effort that we put into it, it was there. You know, our community we were like, it's so affordable, like it's for everybody. Because we knew the cost perspective for people was always a factor when it was one-to-one. So we were like,
so your brain goal is like, okay, we're going to create something that is affordable for everybody. They're going to get results in here. They're going to get answers. Like, this is going to be great. Sounds like a sound decision. I've done the same thing. I've coached hundreds and hundreds of people on this. So I love that we're having this conversation because the grass is always greener. And the reason that we do this is because we think, just build this and then it'll just sell and it'll be passive. It's like on some level, we think something about something's going to be passive. These are lies. These are lies on the internet. It is the least passive thing in the entire world. It is hard. A group program, hard. Digital product, hard. Membership, hard. Different kind of hard than one-on-ones, but not less hard, I think is how I feel about it. How do you feel?
Agreed.
Yeah, it's like 1,000%. It was way harder to sell. It was almost like it was because they were like, well, that's too easy. You can't really be in there and like, what are you really giving? Right. Oh my gosh. So in the group program, great. And I love it. However, we put so much information in there and so much value because I think we were so determined to help people to see. Right. And it was so overwhelming. Like so overwhelming. And that was the thing is like, we burnt ourselves out with our one-to-one clients. Yeah. Well, those 3-4 months of building all this, like took burnout to a whole new level. And it really, and then it got us, and then we were literally like all over the place because we didn't know, did we want to continue?
This didn't sell the way I thought it was going to. Now what do we do? Oh my
gosh. Yes. Yeah. So and that was sparking a whole nother thing.
So then that brings us to November 2025. And Erin, you weren't in the TPN program, but Kelly was. And she was getting my emails. And I sent out one email in November 2025 where I was doing an experiment on taking some one-on-one clients. Sent out one email that I was going to be taking some private one-on-one clients. And Kelly responded and she booked a call for us to do a sales call on one-on-ones. And then why don't you say like what happened? This is the most fun to me. I think it's hilarious and all roads lead to Rome and like God has jokes all wrapped into one. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I responded to the email on a whim while going to pick up my kid. And I'm like, I'm just going to do it. And let's just see what happens. And then I was like, and then I kind of panicked for a minute and didn't respond when it was like, we're going to book a call. And then you so nicely followed up with me just to check in. And I believe you told me you were going on vacation. So, and of course we were approaching the holidays, right? The worst time to make any major decision.
This is like very end of November, if I remember. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It was like Thanksgiving. Yeah. Right in there. It was.
Right yeah. I had a lacrosse tournament with my daughter in Florida. So we were getting ready to go. And I was like, well, I mean, if she wants to do a call, and there were, a handful of people that had responded to that email. I'm like, well, if we're doing calls, we got to do them because I'm going to be out of here. So
and that's exactly what you told me.
Let you know. Yeah. And then you did.
And then I did. And it was because, and as everybody knows, I was in the TPN community prior. That was an investment that I had made to help grow my own business when I was still one-to-one. And the one thing I had always said was that I was really annoyed that you didn't work with people one-on-one. Because to me, I'm like, okay, yes, I get the coaching. Yes, I get the community. Yes, the program's great. But I would like to ask you a question. And I would like you to just like talk to me. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, she's taking one-to-ones. This never happens. So I just, on a fleeting moment, responded. And then I told Erin what I did. And she was like, well, it's all right. It's just a call. Like, see what it is. it's going to be crazy. And like, yeah, a lot of yada, yada. Yeah. So I took the call. It was super fun. And
Kelly told me before the call, she's like, I don't even know why I was doing the call because I knew it was going to be so expensive and like didn't even know why I was doing it.
I was like, there's no way we can do this, right? We had literally like done, we were like just going for it at that point. And then so we got off the call and I remember telling Erin, I was like, it's so funny because, here we are, like, this is what it would be. Like, this is the program. And never in my wildest dreams, ever, did I ever think that Erin was going to say to me, let's just do it. What?
Meanwhile, I've never talked to Erin before. She doesn't know me at all. She's like, let's just do it. So funny. So fun. So we did. So we started working together one-on-one. Yeah. And so we
accelerated our timeline because I said January and she was like, we're going to do it now. So it was the first week of December, I think. Yeah. Right in the middle of the holidays, in the middle of the craziest time. Erin was like, no, we're going to do this and we're going to do it now.
We're going to start right now. Yeah. So fun. So we started a 3-month engagement at the beginning of December where I love it. I just have to reflect back to you guys. I loved that decision so much for both of you and that told me everything I needed to know about both of you, that you weren't like, okay, like, let's just, let's like ease into this. Let's wait till the holidays are over. You both were like, we're going to be talking to people over the holidays. Let's figure out how to make some money. Like, let's just jump in. Let's do it. Let's do it now. And which has served you very, very well. So we did start working together one-on-one in December. And the first thing we did was we looked at your offers and we looked at your goals and we saw current offer structure, current goals do not, these are not going to, the math is not going to math on this. One of these has to change. Either you need to be good with making way less money in the next 12 months as you ramp up either your group program or the membership or a combination of both, or we need to have a different offer that's going to make you more money faster working with less clients. And we chose that one together. So do you guys maybe want to talk a little bit about that decision and how we radically shook up your offers that you had been selling up to that point?
I think the biggest thing that I remember was like, because we were so dead set on like niching down, and then we have like the first or second conversation with you and you're like, why do you want to do that? And we're both like, there was literally a dead silence on the call because we're like, good question. Why do we want to niche? Because really, like, realistically, when we get out of school, like, that's what so many practitioners do. They're like, we're going to niche. We have to do this. We have to do it this way. Like, and then we're like, well, we have to niche because that's what everybody else does. And then you kind of like gave us some open-ended questions and we're like, oh, we never thought about that. Maybe we don't need to niche. And then we didn't. And all of a sudden, the gates came open.
They sure did. They sure did. So from my point of view, I mean, I am just curious in those conversations, what is the goal? And so I'm trying to find out as your coach, is the goal to work with a very specific person in a very specific program? And like, this is my version of heaven, is to serve this person with this very specific goal. If so, then we do that for sure. But the goal in talking to you guys was like, no, we need to get this business going. We need to make some money so that we have a cushion here and so that we can really help people with complex health conditions. Because that was, in talking to both of you, like, that's really where your heart was. Yes, it was in serving moms. Yes, it was in serving in your community. But like, there's like, people don't have answers that have this really complex stuff going on, and we can help them and we want to help them. So it was just like, okay, well, if that's the goal, we need to make money. We need to get this business profitable in a big way as quickly as possible. Then that becomes very clear what the path is. And so I loved when you guys are like, oh yeah, do we have to niche? Like, does that even make sense right now? Or do we just need to help the people that want to pay us and we just need to get paid and help them? Like, oh yeah, let's do that, which is what you did. So December was a fun month. Lots of decisions made, lots of just changing things around a little bit in terms of what you guys thought you were going to be doing in December. And I think we should talk a little bit about how you had been marketing your business before that, social media, like where you were spending your time. And so there was definitely a transition in December as you wrapped your mind around, nope, we're going to work with one-on-one clients. We're going to sell them a premium offer and we're not niching down. We're just helping the humans. What did that look like in December as you recalibrated? Which, by the way, you guys both did so well and so fast. And I think you did a beautiful job. You're like, I can tell both of you are like, yeah, no, behind the scenes. And I know it's so messy and it's so
Oh, it was
chaotic.
a hot mess.
But you
Let's
shift
say.
fast.
It was a hot mess, my dear.
Yeah.
And we didn't even have time to the best thing about it is it was moving so fast. We didn't have time to overthink, which is, if you know Erin and I, that is a strong characteristic that we both excel in. And so we had one offer. We had everything set up. Like our focus was really our community, and, we wanted to switch to the group programs, and we had this mentality. We had only taken on a couple of one-to-one clients together. We still had our individual.
Up until us working together in December. So up until that point.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
and you had, how much were you guys making about, like, on average a month up till then? If you're comfortable sharing.
Realistically, if we're bringing in like $1,000 a month, right? Like we were doing, that was great.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's such a different model. Getting a membership going and a lower price group program going, it's a very different model. Yeah. So you guys had been living that and going, oh my gosh, how are we gonna sustain this? So that was until December. Then we definitely switched gears. And how did that feel?
Horrifying, and it felt like amazing at the same time, because we never spent a lot of time on our one-to-one offer originally when we had joined and opened. Like, I think it was because we had our own clients and like we were so focused on the community. But the reality is, of a $39 a month community, as much as we love it, like that's not going to pay the bills at the end of the day.
Nope.
And unless you have 1,000 people in there, which is great. So we had spent so much time. We were like, we have to get exposure. And we're both in like kind of more rural areas. So we were using social media despite our disdain in a lot of ways. I think disdain is the nice word. But a time suck, if there ever was, like it was
a lot of time being spent for both of you.
It was worse than I ever would have ever imagined.
We did a little time audit at the beginning of working together on just how much time was being spent for both of you on social media, and that was clear super early on. Like, this is just not worth the return on your time. It's just not there. And especially for both of you, like, I mean, people may listen to this or watch this and go, oh my gosh, well, they get twice as much done because there's two of them. And in theory, that is true. But you guys were both spending so much time on social media. So it wasn't like one person was doing that while somebody else was doing something else. It was very time consuming for both of you. And so that was what we're like, well, where are clients actually coming from? What is this actually going to look like longer term? And things evolved in December. So messy. Yes, chaotic, hot mess behind the scenes for sure. But both of you got to work. You, I think, did an amazing job of just pivoting from the membership and the group offer into, okay, premium one-on-one offer. That's what we're going to sell. We're going to give ourselves some breathing room financially by bringing in some money in this business. And we're actually going to really serve people at a deep level. We can worry about the membership and growing that and serving the masses later. But let's like put the oxygen mask on first and get the business really going before we do that, which was a very sound decision. So you did that really well. You hadn't thought about the one-on-one offer before very much. And then you did, and you made decisions super fast. Like, maybe you guys don't see this, but I'm going to just tell you guys made decisions super fast and you acted on them. And by the end of December, things were cranking. Catch us up there. And then we're going to get into January, which was really fun.
We jumped into every bit of conversation we could possibly. Anybody that would talk to us, like, they were talking to us, because we were having conversations, and we had really our one-to-one offer. We had taken a look at it with you, and then we adjusted it again, because it was like, okay, if we really need to make, when we set our financial goal year to date, if we really needed to make this much money, there's two of us, which sounds great in theory. But then you're also paying, you're literally, somebody's paying for both of you. So, and at that point, our expertise needed to make sure that it was coming into that and being compensated for it, like all of the time that we were putting in, because we both were putting in a ton of time. So we kind of refined that offer. We increased that offer, price point perspective. And we just started having so many conversations. We pulled back from social media. We didn't worry about it nearly as much. I had more conversations with people at Christmas parties than I could have ever imagined.
And I think it was because you were no longer qualifying them as if they were in your niche or not, or if it was just like, I'm just talking to everybody about what I do and just pretending that nobody knows anything about what I do and having fresh conversation. And let's just have those conversations, which you did beautifully. And the offer, before we move on, I think it's important to note the one-on-one offer that we like outlined and that you guys got comfortable with at the beginning of December had people paying you a base rate, and then they were paying for their testing on top of that offer, depending on what they were going to need testing wise. And we like went back and forth on that, but you guys were like pretty set on, no, we want to do it this way because there's different like legalities in what state they're ordering it from. So we're like, okay, perfect, let's go. That ended up changing. But for December, for the context of this conversation, you guys were like, okay, decisions made. Let's go have all the conversations with all the people at the Christmas parties, which was great. What did you learn in those conversations?
that everybody was like super curious. Everybody needed help, right? We were so glad that we didn't narrow it down. But it also was so much more freeing because we weren't worried. We weren't focused on like one area or one thing. So we were just having the conversations, and people were so curious. And none of this was in a setting of like a work environment. These were, I mean, Erin was talking to people at her kids' basketball games, and we were talking to like friends of friends or somebody that was talking to us. We were at social gatherings, and they were like, "So what is it that you do again? Like, what's going on?" They had seen the fact that we had individually done different things in our business, which was great, which was starting that conversation. But we also remembered a conversation like this hit really big with me about our internal network and the people that are surrounded by us. You had told us a story about how somebody very close to you had thought that they had known what you do, right? And you were like, well, of course they know what we do. We didn't want to be salesy and we didn't want to sound like we were selling. And then all of a sudden you were like, they don't know what I do. Right. Yeah. So we have to tell them what we do based on your experience. So I kind of took that to heart. Yeah. And as I started talking to people, I really just brought it way down to a casual conversation, asking them so many questions about themselves, what we know to do, just build trust with people. And because it was genuine, like I really wanted to know, we really want to help people. And when we took off those glasses of, we're focused on this one area, like we're focused on these, like on this group of people.
And creating content for them to like reach them on Instagram, like whatever that is. If we just throw that out, then different conversations happen.
It literally just started. It was so natural. It felt the most normal of any sales conversation that we've ever had. And then we started, then kind of January started, and then we started playing with a lot of different things. And then, I mean, kind of, we got super curious, and then we also started like figuring it out because we started getting several discovery calls, and it happened very, very quickly. All of a sudden in 1 week, like in a like 4 days, we had 3 calls back to back to back. And they were very unexpected. Like I was just like, oh, okay. And through realizing like what people were going through, and we had such a structured offer. And I think that we tried to justify our price point so much just to make sure, because we know it's expensive. And we kept trying to justify, like, we're going to give you all of these things. Nobody cared about any of it. They just wanted to feel better. And then they were also, we noticed it was also super confusing for them of like, okay, we're going to have this base price, right? And we had upped it so much from our individual, by the way. So we were super uncomfortable even starting our one-to-ones. I mean, Erin was, put it in perspective, Erin was charging $1,500 originally for like six months. I was charging $1,875 for 6 months, right? And then of course testing was additional and whatever, right? When we had put together our base package was $3,200, and that was like, so we were, it was like this sweat kind of moment, because we were like, oh my God.
At the beginning of December, that was, we did some math, we did some stuff, we got to 3,200, and I was like, okay, but you guys, like, this has to go up, but let's start here. Let's get some clients here. Let's get some momentum, but we're going to have to revisit this. And I think both of you heard that, and you're like, freaking pull off the Band-Aid right now. Then we got to just we got to keep raising it till the math's here and it actually makes sense and we can, be profitable at this offer, because there is so much involved in it. So I was watching you guys, like, I'm so proud of them, because every time you had a call, you're like, this isn't enough yet. Like, oh my gosh, this is a really complex case. And then we have this testing and it's really overwhelming them because there's potentially like really expensive testing that we're going to have to do. And like, how do we have those conversations? So then what happened? I'm like, I shouldn't be saying this. You guys should be telling how this went. So then what happened?
Then we got very individualized. We knew based off of, obviously in this space, we know lots of practitioners and they do different things, and that's up to them, right? Like, we all have our own thing. But Kelly and I knew that, like, we wanted to still make this so personal for each individual client, because they deserve that, right? Like, hands down, they deserve that experience. And
they're not getting it anywhere else. That's why they're talking to you, because they're not getting that anywhere.
Yeah. And we both knew that regardless of what package they were going to get, we were going to give that foundation that they absolutely deserved. But we also discovered that not every test was right for that particular individual. So then we're like, okay, what if we add the testing based off of that person's needs into their package and included it with their package, rather than them having to pay extra and all the things. So we got like really focused on, as far as packaging, we got really focused based off of that person's individual needs. And I think that's where we really like took off, because we're like, this is so much better.
Yeah. And just the freedom to like, okay, every person that I talk to, every offer is going to be a little bit different. And it's going to be super custom to them. And that is a feature, not a bug. That's like why they're here. And we don't have to try to have the pressure to have one offer that's going to work for everybody. It's just like, that's the freedom that you have working with one-on-one clients. And that's why I love the model of working with one-on-ones until your business is really, really sustainable, because you have the flexibility to do that. You have a personal connection with somebody, and the ability and like the gift that you get to give them is like, this is exactly what you need. You're not getting it anywhere else. And you just can't do that when you're selling a membership or when you're selling a group program and it is very regimented and you have to make those decisions in advance. You can't be so nimble. So it's not as good for you in the business in the beginning, and it's not as good for the client. I love how you guys did this. So yeah, you started making different offers to different people depending on what they needed, that you guys figured out during the discovery calls. And so as we're coaching on this in January, and as we're going back and forth in our project management system in between our calls, like, I loved these. I think I remember Kelly being like, okay, but this is like, just so you know, we're selling everybody a different offer. Like, perfect. Amazing. This isn't a problem, because discovery call booked, you do the call, they're signing up. You guys are like, boom, boom, boom. It's working. It's working. And these clients are super excited because they haven't been getting answers anywhere, and it is go time and it's January, and they're like, help me. And you guys are like, okay, it's working. So January was big. Before we tell everybody how big January was, what did we learn in January? So many things.
Oh yeah. Where do you even start with that? So January was just so transformative, because first of all, like, so one, we just learned we had to trust ourselves. We had to trust what we knew. We were essentially, we tried to follow the other models, that what we had known, but what everybody else was kind of doing too. And, so we were like, it should look like this, or it should look like that, or it had to look like something specific. And what set us apart, and I think more than anything, is we learned that we gave people more of an individualized package than they could ever imagine. So we also kind of do like a pre-questionnaire with our clients before they're getting on discovery calls, so that one, we're really getting specific and narrowing down what it is that we think that they need coming into it. Then our discovery calls are an hour long, and we were really we were diving in. We really wanted to know, and we started telling people, these are customized for you, specifically for you. We're very intentional about what we're choosing from a testing perspective, because we know that one, it is super expensive. But it was embraced, and it's hard for people because it's still expensive, but they were like, oh my gosh, right? Like, nobody's ever told me this before, but it's also, like the fact that we could do it completely differently and it could work 1,000%.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to, of course we know we overthink it, but we didn't have to overthink it. And a lot of times we didn't have the time to overthink it because it was happening so quickly. And
it's like you're making a decision and we got another call tomorrow and we got this one. And it's like, now we're onboarding and it's all just happening. Yeah.
It happened very, very fast because clients were also confirming and ready to go at the end of the call. This was not before. At the end of our sales calls, we were always like, so here's our information. We spit it out really, really fast. And it was like super uncomfortable. And we're like, so we'll follow up with you, but ask us if you have any questions. And we didn't do any of that. At the end of those calls, we were asking questions. We were telling them what the process looked like, how individualized it was for them. And truthfully, we were so ready to get them answers because every one of our clients that we've taken on has been very complex, more complex than we ever could have, thought that imagined really at that point. And, we understood their need to want answers. And we were connecting dots right off the bat that we knew that there were things here that were being missed.
Mm-hmm. And I think that you guys have been better able to, as you've onboarded these clients and now you're working with them, I think you've been better able to serve them with like more support in the offer because you are charging like more and you're charging enough and it's finally like, cohesive in that way that you're able to actually serve clients. I mean, I guess this is kind of a leading question. This is what I'm seeing, but tell me if this is true. It seems like you guys are more comfortable serving clients on a much deeper level because like you can afford to. But like the offer is actually a way better offer than I think either of you ever entertained before because you just weren't charging enough to be able to offer the support that you now can. Does that make sense? Is that true?
Yeah.
Like 1,000%. Because before we were then always worried about, okay, now they really need this test. And this test is potentially $1,000, right? And then that's just one more thing. And like, how do you sell that? And like, how do you help them to understand that this is like super important? And then all of the different, the amount of time and effort that goes into building these protocols it's so much more involved. It's so much more complex, takes so much more time. And we were worried, do we have the capacity for that? Like, how do you factor that in after the fact? And when we took all of that off the table and really just listened to what they were telling us, and then, and we would plan out strategically what we thought, we would reevaluate. We were okay saying if we, we need to adjust this, but, or we need to discuss this further. We did have, 2 clients where we weren't able to like tell them exactly right then. What that looked like. And I think it built a lot of trust with us, from a client perspective, because it showed that we were really taking it seriously. We were researching what was the best for them and putting their needs first. Like it's really our clients first, like first and foremost, no matter what.
Yeah.
And they could feel that. So that transitioned to a really good January.
Like how good was January? Coming from averaging about $1,000 a month up until then, what did we do in January? Let's celebrate.
Well, let's just say from mid-month when this all of a sudden, all of these seeds started to sprout essentially.
Yeah.
We went from like not having anybody signed one-to-one in that month to we had signed 5 clients by the end of the month. I mean, it was $24,000 in a month. And it was really, the reality is this was in 2 weeks.
In the last 2 weeks of the month. Totally. Yeah. It all just came together really, really fast. And I remember us, as we're coaching on this, as it's happening, evaluating where are these people coming from. And it was like this friend of a someone at a wedding, like here. And then this one, I couldn't have anticipated that seed was going to sprout. And actually, then here it is. And then this, and it was just like, who knows? We just let the magic happen because you guys were talking to everybody and word was spreading as it does. So huge month in January, 5 clients. Now we're into February. As we're recording this, we're into February. So we've been working this month on the delivering, the onboarding, like what does that look like? Bringing 5 complex clients with very, very premium offer delivery on the table. Like what does that look like as you continue to sell and as you continue to plant more seeds, because we can't stop planting the seeds, but also you need to farm your field that's already planted, or like whatever analogy makes sense there, just insert whatever makes sense. You got to keep doing that. So that's what we've really been coaching on and talking a lot about this month. I don't know. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about in that department? As I say that, does anything come up that you feel like is noteworthy?
There's a lot noteworthy there, right? First of all, let it be known that onboarding 5 clients with 5 completely different packages in completely different avenues. That was a learning curve unto itself, because before we kind of knew what everybody was going for. So, we always brought people in with foundations, and like, there was like, okay, we're going to, start with the traditional gut map, or maybe do a blood panel, or, always the foundational things that we had learned and done. And now we had taken completely different roads and stuff we knew that could be extremely effective, but took so much time. So we were really like setting them up in phase protocols. We had completely redone our onboarding experience because, one, we had to, because all of a sudden we have a lot of clients doing it all at the same time, to which you didn't normally have that, right? It was one thing to onboard 1 or 2 and then have some space. All of a sudden, everybody was going through their journeys at the exact same time. And we still build foundational protocols for everybody. Then we were phasing it out. Then we were getting these tests coming back with some of these results that are like 30, 40 plus pages long worth of results that take a whole nother level of brain power to implement, while we were, and then we got different people that were reaching out to us and continuing to have other conversations with equal complexity. And we found that this customize a plan for everybody honestly, there's nothing has felt more comfortable and more like real when it comes to working with one-on-one clients than to have a foundational package, and then we just take it and we really just specify, like, make it really individualized for everybody. And it just feels like the easiest avenue. And to that point, here we are in February to mind you, a completely different lane than we ever thought that we would be in. Wherever we are, 8 months later, 9 months later, the lane of very complex, toxicity based, very immune focused clients.
Give some examples for everybody listening on the kind of clients that you're working with right now.
As far as age, or just like the complexity of
the complexity. Yeah, the complexity.
Anywhere from gut dysfunction to mold toxicity to heavy metal burden to Lyme disease.
Okay. Yeah, lots of big stuff.
All over the place. Yeah.
Like a little sprinkle of digestion here and some Lyme disease. Like little.
And top it with an insane amount of hormone imbalance, to which the majority of our clients have come to us with. And like, Erin is like in love with everything with the gut. Kelly hates the gut. I know it. Don't love there. I love the hormones. Erin does not love the hormones. So we put them together and add in a heavy dosage of toxicity, to what we had really started to uncover an immune dysfunction, to find a huge connecting root cause to the majority of women in transition at different life stages, whether they're, whatever journey that they're in, had really started to shed a lot of light, which had taken us down an immune path that we never saw coming.
Yeah, when you're like, okay, this week we're deciding our niche. And it's like, well, you don't know what that is yet. You don't know who you're working with. You don't know who you love working with. You don't know, like, we just don't know what we don't know. So I love when you guys took the pressure off on that part, and you're just like, we just work with all the people, see who comes forth, let them pay you, work with them. Now you are seeing some patterns that you didn't anticipate before, which is, just how it goes. That's just part of it, right?
It's really, it's changed tremendously. like
Mm-hmm.
absolutely tremendously.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we had said that, it was like, do we really want to get into these complex cases? And at first it seemed like a year ago, if you would have asked us, it was a hard no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now the thought of not doing it is kind of crazy. We're like, now yes,
Yeah.
because we see these different things, and our clients are responding so very well to
Mm-hmm.
so many of the things, and it's actually been better for them because
Yeah.
they have a totally different but concrete direction that they've never had before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to talk about the balance between selling and delivering, because I feel like you guys are just like in it right now, and people, like anybody in their business, is always going to be figuring this out. And I mean, hopefully you're making money working with clients and you get to figure this out, because when you do, then you realize, oh my gosh, there's a balance somewhere where you can't have a month like January every single month and sustain it without having periods of rest where you recalibrate your nervous system and you really pour into client delivery. Like, there has to be a balance there, because you guys were talking to so many people. The discovery calls were coming like crazy. You were getting paperwork ready, getting it out to people, getting them signed, getting them on the calendar. There was so much frenzy the last 2 weeks of January. Then when we came to our first coaching call in February, I was like, okay, we're celebrating, and like, how are we celebrating and slowing down? And Kelly's like, we're not slowing down. We're slowing down. We're not slowing down. We're absolutely not slowing down. It's February. It's time to go. Like, we look at it. It's working. It's working. And it is, and has continued to work in February. You're still signing clients in February, but there is a need to reprioritize your time into the delivery to clients, and to understand that you won't, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is the expectation is like, well, if I do this once, this is now the new standard. It will be like this forever. And in business, like, it just doesn't work like that. And we have to give ourselves the realistic expectation that it isn't always going to be the highest high forever. And if we don't have that every minute, like, something is wrong, because there are the seasons of, okay, now we're pouring into client delivery. We're making this better. That's what we've been coaching on now in February, is like, okay, what can we make better in the client experience for them and for you? How can we make this easier for them, less overwhelming? How can we make this less overwhelming for you guys in your calendar as you're delivering to these really complex clients? And so we've been working on that strategy. And meanwhile, I can feel Kelly in the background. She's like, we got to do more. We got to do more. Like a racehorse that wants to just be let out of the gate. And so maybe we could talk about the reality of that a little bit, and like what that's been like this month.
I think it's different for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Because our last call with you, Andrea, we kind of had a heart to heart. I kind of had a heart to heart with Kelly. And I was like, because when I worked in the corporate world, when I quit the corporate world to start this business on my own, I was very, very burnt out, 40, 50, 60, sometimes hours a week, just crazy burnt out. And I was still a mom, right? I'm a wife, I'm a mom, right? Like all the things. And I'm like, and I really realized, especially from a mom perspective, like whatever I do in my future, I know that I can't put more effort into growing a business, but I also have to like be able to be a mom and be a wife, right? And be able to like have that cutoff and have that time to myself without completely burning myself out in the end, right? So I think like, and this is very much a work in progress for both of us.
Yes. Okay. So this is everybody has their areas of opportunity, and I always tell my clients, like, right, like you're not alone in this transition. Kelly's used to working 7 days a week. I mean, I have a corporate background for many years, but I also have a real estate background, which is what I came out of. And anybody that's been in that business knows, you don't. I mean, our hours, I'd be working till 10, 11 o'clock at night. I could be operating contracts at 5 o'clock in the morning. I work Saturday and Sunday like it's just a normal day. I am used to going, and I'm very used to that. My kids are used to that because it's always been, but they're all, I'm still always present and as much as I possibly can be. So that was a thing that I had that flexibility, but I'm terrible at turning off. Terrible. Yes. And my clients know it. And like, so we're all a working progress.
We are all working on it. So that's where our coaching has been. I just thought we should probably bring that up, because it's a useful part of the conversation, and nothing has gone wrong when you're in that feeling of like, okay, I hit it so hard, and like, do I have to keep hitting it that hard? Do we get to have a period of recalibration, of rest, of like, get to maintain a new baseline and then hit it hard again, which I think is the way that we have to approach it. Like clients wise, you do the same thing with your clients, but we have to do that in our business. We have to really normalize that and not have this false expectation that like, once you know that it's possible to make $24,000 a month, that every month you're going to make $24,000 and you're going to do what it takes to like, do that. High achievers dilemma for those of us in business is that that's where our brain goes. We're like, well, now I know that's possible. I know I can do that. I got to do that. I got to keep doing it. And sometimes to our own detriment. So let's like normalize the fact that also there's an ebb and flow to that. And over time, it does trend upward. Our business makes more money. We can serve more clients at a deeper level. We get better in our processes. They get better results. Like everything compounds, but we have to give ourselves the space to acclimate to those new levels too, and not always be pushing so dang hard. I give this advice to myself as much as to you.
I think that was big for us to learn in February, because we were like, oh my gosh, we have to keep selling. We're still having conversations, and we're planting all of those seeds that we know that we need in the future. But at the same point, now we're still running the community, which is, we're grateful and it's growing. But there's a ton of time that goes into that every single month. We do live calls in there. So like in addition to the content and education and all these other things. So it's like, we have that. Now we're onboarding multiple clients. We're still having conversations and discovery calls. We completely transformed our onboarding process because we had to. So then we had
Kelly went rogue and made a new website in the middle of all of this. Can we just have a minute? Also, the strategy on the community has changed because you're still running the community, you're still supporting people in there, but really that has become a very good vehicle for people to identify if they want to do a one-on-one call with you, and for booking discovery calls through the community. So we've really turned that into a lead generator and like a qualifier kind of for who might be suitable to be a great one-on-one client for you, versus we're just giving them everything, like downloading our brain to them every single month to these people for $39. Like, no, the strategy is a little bit different. It's supporting them and nurturing them and making very clear calls to action for people that are ready to work one-on-one and what that would look like, and moving them into a one-on-one relationship. So that has also worked well.
Mm-hmm. That has actually been fantastic, because when we changed how we thought about the community, it gave us a bigger opportunity to it took a lot of pressure off. Just first and foremost, it took a ton of pressure off of selling that little itty bitty offer, right? And wanting it to be so big and people to realize how much value is there. But just the fact that you can go and communicate, but it's also given us the opportunity to really make connections with a lot of these women, and just have honest conversations with them of what's going on. The questions that we get have been they're so genuine, but they're really conversation building. And then so by the time we're getting on discovery calls with some of these people, we know so much of their background. We can really give them in their story where we've been able to deliver, very matter of fact, like, this is really what we think is going on. These are your next steps, very confidently knowing how we can get them to where they need to go. Yeah. And then of course they stay within the community, like during the time that they're working with us also. And that also helps to get the foundational part, and it helps their progress too. And then we've, of course, also, yes, of course. Okay. So you had to bring up the fact that I decided to build a website on a Saturday when I had an extra few hours, right?
I'm pretty sure like under direct guidance to rest, she went and built a new website.
Oh I was resting.
Takes one to know one. I get it. But also, we're supposed to be resting anyway.
Okay. Well, and it's beautiful. It was per your direction. So does that help?
What's that?
It was per your direction, or per your feedback. I should say your feedback. You didn't tell me to do it, but I took your feedback and transformed, and we love it.
It's great. The website's absolutely beautiful. Simplified a ton. So from their other site to the new site, we did a ton of simplification. Just didn't know you were going to I was like, I think that this page could be simplified. And Kelly's like, noted, going to redo the whole site. Got it. Going to simplify everything, which you did. And you did super well. I want to make a little caveat note here for anybody listening or watching this that's like, oh my gosh, I'm hearing that I need to go start a community for lead generation. Don't do that. Hardest way ever. But in the strategy, since Aaron and Kelly already had this asset and they already have people in the community, they've already built it, we're using it, and we're using it for lead generation, for qualifying really good one-on-one clients that they can help at a deeper level. But I don't want anybody hearing this to go, oh my gosh, I know what I need to go do is create a membership. Hardest thing you could ever do. Don't do that. Not step one by any means.
Definitely don't do that. We'd love it. And honestly, that was the one thing that we had told you, like, my heart is there within that community so much because I just love connecting with people and building relationships and supporting people. But so we didn't want to give it up. We just had to figure out a new way. We had to figure out a new approach to it. And when we created that as really like a lead generator and a funnel, and it just changed everything. It took so much pressure off. I would definitely not recommend that as a, like, do that.
Yep. Not the preferred method, but we're using the assets that you have and reallocating your time differently. You guys have not been on social media very much in the last few months. You just have been putting your focus in other places that is getting a much higher return on investment for that time. And I'm super excited about everything that you guys have coming up. But thank you for coming and sharing so openly about what this has been like, because I think we could have waited to do this episode even, but I really wanted to do it now while it was fresh in all of our minds, like how quickly things shifted, especially in January, second half of January, as like things just started clicking. And I think the best part of this conversation and really the most impactful thing that I want everyone to take from it is the imperfect action you guys took, and you just did it quickly and you didn't overthink, and you're just like, okay, decision made. Let's go. And because you have iterated quickly and just taken action, we've been able to figure out the patterns of like what's working the best and what to change and what to tweak so much faster, because we're just getting data so much faster. And it's just like, okay, boop, 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 boop. It's all working, and it's working better, and it's going to keep working better over the months to come. I know it feels chaotic and messy in it when you're doing it, as it always will. But from my perspective, as I get to meet with you guys every few weeks and we get to go through all of this, I'm like, oh, this is perfect. We're getting so much data, and I can see how much better it's working for you and for your clients, which is super exciting. So before we land the plane, tell everybody what kind of clients do you work with that they should send your way, and how do they find you? Kelly just made a face like, are you making us have a niche? Come on, what's going on?
So we work with all the people. Right. If it's, very foundationally, our heart will always be there. It's always a food first approach, no matter who we work with. But really, like in the complexity, we work with everybody from digestive issues to hormones to, ADHD to toxicity cases to, extreme allergies or hormone dysregulation or, anxiety. We really do go down every avenue. Aaron and I both have specialty additional certifications in other concentrated areas, that we've literally just molded it all together. So if you have something that nobody else has been able to figure out yet, give us a call or like look us up, send us an email, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever they do these days.
Whatever the kids are doing, it's going to be linked below this somewhere in a description of something. There will be some next steps. People will find you. Perfect. On your beautiful website, probably.
It is live now. Of course it is. Yes. Of course it's live.
Yeah.
But we've really just dove into listening. Like it's really about changing what that trajectory of health really looks like. And when we haven't found the answers yet, it's just because you haven't met somebody that can put the pieces of the puzzle yet together. And that's what we really just want everybody to know so much, because there's pieces of those puzzles that are connecting, and you just have to come talk to the right people to put them together.
Yeah.
And we'll find them no matter what. We are very determined individuals, and
yes, you
we
are.
find them.
So good. So good. Okay, ladies. Well, thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing on the podcast what's working for you, what's working for your clients, and how this has evolved very quickly over the last few months. And I'm excited, like I said, to keep watching what's unfolding in the future. No doubt it's going to be amazing. But seriously, thank you for sharing. So helpful.
Thank you so much. This was fun.